Not all content is created equal in Google's eyes. When you're writing about topics that affect someone's money, health, safety, or life decisions, you're playing in what's called the YMYL space, your money or your life. Google treats this content differently. It's held to a much higher standard. Why? Because misinformation in these areas can do real-world harm. In this lecture, you will learn what qualifies as YMYL content, why it's held to higher standards, and how to create it responsibly to avoid real-world harm. Objectives of the lecture. By the end of this lecture, you'll be able to identify what qualifies as YMYL content, understand why it's riskier from a ranking and trust perspective, avoid common credibility mistakes in high-stakes niches. What is YMYL content? YMYL stands for Your Money or Your Life. It refers to pages or articles that could affect someone's well-being, financial stability, or safety. This includes content on health, for example, symptoms, treatments, mental health, finance, for example, budgeting, investing, loans, legal advice, for example, immigration, divorce, news and public policy, education and careers, safety, security, and parenting, shopping and product reviews, especially for medical or financial products. Google doesn't want this kind of content ranking unless it's credible, well-sourced, and written by people who know what they're talking about. Why Google is strict about YMYL. YMYL content is where misinformation can cause serious damage. Imagine someone reads bad advice about managing diabetes or making investment decisions and acts on it. That's why Google's algorithms and human quality raters apply much stricter standards here. They expect author expertise or real-life experience, accurate, up-to-date information, trusted sources and citations, transparent authorship and site structure. If any of those are missing, the content will likely struggle to rank, or worse, be penalized. What makes YMYL risky for writers? When you write about YMYL topics without the right structure or trust signals, you risk being filtered by Google's algorithms. Your content could be flagged for low quality or misinformation. Readers may not trust or act on your content. Even if you have good intentions, Google won't take chances if your page feels unqualified or unclear. Examples of YMYL done right. Let's say you write about mental health for teens. You're not a therapist, but you do have experience helping a family member, and you've spoken to professionals. To build trust, you open with a personal story, shows lived experience. You quote a licensed psychologist, adds authority. You link to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, adds source credibility. Your bio mentions your reason for covering this topic. That content feels responsible, relatable, and grounded in reality. Red flags that hurt. YMYL content. Google is extra sensitive to these signals in YMYL. No author name or credentials, outdated or unverified facts, vague, generic advice, AI-generated content with no human touch, over-optimization for keywords but little substance. If your article is titled Best Supplements for Heart Health and doesn't mention the author, sources, or any science, don't expect it to rank. What if you're not a certified expert? You can still write YMYL content, but carefully. Here's how. Share personal experience when appropriate. For example, how I lowered my cholesterol naturally. Interview or quote professionals. Link to government or medical sources. Avoid making absolute claims. This will cure you. Be transparent in your bio and tone. You're not pretending to be a doctor or lawyer. You're being a responsible content creator. YMYL content has the power to help or harm. Google knows that, and that's why EEAT is non-negotiable in this space. Whether you're writing about fitness routines, credit scores, or parenting tips, you need to show that your content is trustworthy, accurate, and safe to act on. If you wouldn't take your own advice without checking, neither should your reader, and Google's watching too.